So it was brought to my attention that yet another egg person is beginning up to some wacky shit again. This time, it's a fellow by the name of King of Ducks, who, from what I was able to gather, likes going around and messaging 12-year-olds porn and gore just out of the blue. Yeah, fucking classy, right? The guys who told me about this really couldn't give me a lot of details about him, so I asked him myself. And it's about what you'd expect, honestly. Now, I was told at first that Mr. Ducks was a pedophile, but when I asked how old he was, I got anywhere between 15 and 18. So when I asked him himself, he confirmed that he is 15 years old. Which, it doesn't make him a pedophile, but it does make him a pretty sick fuck. His parents should take away his cell phone, but we already know what happened with the artist Alex case. That's not going to happen. He's going to get a slap on the wrist. Very sad. He admits to doing this under the justification that, he thinks it's like a funny joke. Apparently this is like a funny thing, just a little joke that they do in Russia, which, I don't know. I've met a couple Russians, and I'm pretty sure this isn't a part of Russian culture. This isn't Saudi Arabia, buddy. Mr. Ducks also made a claim that somebody by the name of MSF sent him tentacle porn, which I can't really comment on because I have no fucking idea who that is. But I will say, gross. The screenshots really speak for themselves with this, so the proper expose part of this video is going to be pretty small. But I have been noticing a pattern with the egg people, and I gotta address it. Like, we got Jacob, Jonachrome, Artist Alex, now this dude. Seems that everybody's favorite PowerPoint presentation is really infested with a bunch of wackies. And it was made by one, too. So, I'm thinking maybe the egg people don't really know how to deal with these sort of people. So, I'm just gonna make a little friendly advice type guide to help you guys avoid getting groomed on the internet. Okay, number 1, don't use Discord. I'm not joking here. There's this strange pattern with this godforsaken site, a pattern that seeps all the way into its diseased roots. There's so many weirdo cringe-lord sex pests that call this place home, you'd genuinely be better off using anything else. Just not Kick. Kick is gross. Or Whisper. But I get like 99% of people watching this won't ditch Discord since it's where all the people are. It's sad, but it's understandable. I was also dragged to this hellhole site kicking and screaming. Fuck, I miss Hangouts. Hangouts is cool. 2, don't associate with masturbation addicts. You've all seen that guy on your servers. The one that seems to only ever talk about sex, only ever jokes about jerking off, sex, cooming, and he has a cropped porn profile picture. The Coomer Plague is very real, and shockingly, the people who only ever talk about sex will talk about to anyone within earshot, not caring if they're minors or not. They're very brazen at least, so they aren't really hard to weed out of your groups. Why, they may even go so far as to own a children's game Discord server and give it channels with names like, I don't know, penis naked submissions, and they might go celebrate National Horny Day on said children's game Discord server. Shoutouts to Mythic. Jesus Christ, Jonathan, what's going on, big guy? Artist Alex, King of Ducks, and Jonathan all being wacky? And they're all Russian? Maybe King of Ducks is right about Russian culture after all. I'm kidding. Don't fucking crucify me over that, man. 3, know the signs of emotional manipulation. All too often, these types of people will resort to manipulative tactics to try to get their victims to comply with their sick behavior. It's pretty troubling, especially given these targets are usually too young to have that emotional maturity they really need to see through this sort of thing. However, knowing the signs of a manipulator makes it a lot harder for them to get to you. So I'll list some things you guys should look out for. The first thing you should look out for is gaslighting. Gaslighting is the act of a manipulator reaffirming their own false or insane statements in an attempt to make you feel insane for not believing them. And another form of gaslighting is denying that they've ever done something despite clear evidence of that thing happening. An example would be Mr. Naven saying that he's not a pedophile even though there's screenshots of him admitting to being a pedophile. Okay, the second one is guilt tripping, When someone does weird things that make you feel uncomfortable and you ask them to stop, do they act out? Do they act irrational and manic over the littlest requests made of them? Do they belittle you and seemingly go out of their way to make you feel awful for daring to make a request? And do they consistently have excuses to justify that behavior and shift the blame? Although they're pretty extreme, these are all telltale signs of someone guilt-tripping you. The best way to handle this is to stand up to the manipulator, but that's often something easier said than done. If someone is guilt-tripping you, but you don't feel like you have the mental strength to stand up to them, there's no shame in simply just walking away from the guilt tripper and not associating with them. You could also confide in a really trusted friend to try to get help, but I should clarify, a Discord vent channel is not a trusted friend. That is the absolute last place you should talk about your problems. Publicly disemboweling yourself emotionally isn't healthy at all, and it makes it easier for a manipulator to know exactly what heartstrings they need to pull to make you do what they want. And the third is blackmail. Oftentimes, these types of people will do their best to harvest as much sensitive information on you as possible. Has somebody ever threatened to reveal an embarrassing secret of yours if you don't do what they want? Do they consistently ask oddly personal questions? Blackmail is a method of control, and it can be a vicious cycle too. Using blackmail to get you to do more embarrassing things that they can use to even further blackmail you is how that cycle works. There's no real simple solution to blackmail, but the best thing you can do is to not give in to their demands. No matter how embarrassing the skeletons in your closet are, letting someone control you like that is never worth it. The manipulator may lash out and release the blackmail, but in doing so they're losing all of the power they had over you. Your secrets will be forgotten with time, and in all likelihood they aren't as bad as you probably think they are. Alright, 4. Be hyper aware of your online presence. Google really is a bitch. It's great for finding things on the internet. I love search engines. But at the same time, it's really easy to find information on people with Google. Think about every single profile you've ever made online, especially ones that have the same username as your current profile. Is there sensitive information on them, such as your location, your real name, or maybe even something traumatic you went through that you wouldn't want people knowing, but you've posted on a past account? Are there accounts directly connected to your current accounts that have sensitive information, like older accounts with a different username, or maybe family members who don't really care as much about online privacy? One thing you can do to check is you can Google your username, but put quotation marks around your username. What that will do is, instead of searching for what Google thinks is related to that term, Google will search for that term directly in its search engine. So any instance of your username popping up will show up. And that's a good way to find anything that might be linked to your username. Anything potentially sensitive you should probably delete, because if it shows up with a simple Google search, that means anyone who really wanted to could find it in an instant. If you don't have the time to skim through a decade-old account of yours for sensitive info, and you still have the password, you can just delete it. But if you've forgotten your password for that old account, and you can't get rid of it, you can change your current account's username. And that's all I really have to say about that. That's all my tips for how not to get groomed on the internet. But there is one last thing I wanted to bring up. There's a certain problem that I just want to nip in the bud. Because I got this feeling that the egg people are starting to view me as their personal army. I don't really care about egg. I just really hate sick fucks. Like, I hate gore posters and I hate pedophiles. I'm not here to laugh at people who are making fun of your shitty stick figure art. I don't care if somebody's trolling you on the internet. You can take care of that yourself. Now, if you have another pedophile that needs to be dabbed on, sure, I'll gladly make fun of them. But if somebody's just being a big meanie to you, big fat meanie, just deal with it yourself. I'm not your internet daddy. Now leave me alone. I need to tend to my crippling RuneScape addiction.